Welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I am Alqamar.
And I am Hanifah.
And we're right here back at you once again with another impactful topic of discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about reaching the unreachable.
Yes.
Yes. So these
With a special guest.
with special guests, our brother, our friend, our comrade, and everything else in between, Brother Edward X. How you feel today?
I'm great. And it's always a pleasure to be here
Yes.
with you two on the Empower Hour.
Yes. This would be your fourth shot
Oh
with
yeah,
us?
there was a time I wasn't here. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay,
On
yeah.
the Empower Hour.
3 with you,
Yeah.
4 with you.
Okay.
Two with me.
So we wanted Brother X on the program for this particular topic because I could find no better person to reach out to that is out there doing the work on the grounds, mixing and mingling with the young people and reaching those same young people that a lot of us have given up on, turns our back on, roll our eyes at, feel like it's a hopeless case. You're right out there with them, and not only are you out there with them, but they're looking to you for guidance, and you're giving them just that. So thank you for your commitment to our community, brother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Praise be to Allah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that my commitments and my community is actually like working off of debt,
Mm-hmm.
because before I went to prison, I was one of the destroyers of the community.
Mm.
So I was Mook, Ray, and Little Man. So that's why I can identify with them.
Right. So, you have some books there. Did you want to
I got this book,
mention
Understanding the Assault on the Black Man, Black Manhood, and Black Masculinity by Dr. Wesley Muhammad. This is a great book if you want to understand what's going on with black men in America. And also I have this book by Dr. Claude Anderson, a Black History Reader.
This one right here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So great. I appreciate you. I've read actually both of those books. So
Okay.
good quality
Okay, that's
books.
right.
Yeah, that first one there, the Wesley's
Wesley.
book is pretty controversial.
Okay.
It shouldn't be. I think it because he, it's not really his words.
Right.
Half the book is footnotes.
Right.
So this is just researched, documented evidence that he
Right.
has displayed in a book.
At some point in our history, we're going to have to conclude that we as black people have an enemy. And see, we in denial of that factor, that we have an enemy. Everything in nature has a natural enemy.
That's right.
So who is the natural enemy of the black man and the black woman?
Why do you think we're in denial?
Because every time we talk about what we're confronted with, we make excuses for it.
No, but I mean, like, what do you think the reason for the denial is?
Self-hatred,
Is it fear?
what?
Is
what?
it fear?
Fear?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We're afraid of white folks.
Hmm.
We definitely afraid of white folks.
So we make excuses for their behavior?
Yes, we make excuses. We make excuses for why, as black men don't want to stand up. If you get a black man into a conversation dealing with black liberation, and if you press him hard enough and put him in an intellectual corner, he'll tell you, I don't care nothing about no black people. I don't care nothing about none of that stuff. That don't mean nothing to me. But the reason why he says that, not because he doesn't care, but if you do care, if you go on record saying you care, you can't be a coward.
You have to do something about it, yeah.
You can't be a coward and say you care. So you gotta say, I don't care. I don't care about them black people. So that's how you function.
So how can you be a black person saying you don't care about black people?
It's fear. That's just a defense mechanism to justify not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because if you say you care and you concerned and you love black people, then you have to respond to the conditions of black people.
And people are looking to you to do it too, especially if you're making, you're proclaiming that. That I love black people, I care about black people. So when things are happening to black people are looking for you to respond based on your own declaration, pretty
Good
much.
point.
Yeah.
Good point. So we pull the wool over.
Right.
And we go in the corner with and cover our eyes and pretend, put our head in the sand and all that good stuff.
I'm talking about black men, because I think that black women, for the most part, are conscious. Black women, for the most part, do know what time it is.
You think so?
Yes. I think, not every black woman, obviously, but
No, I'm just
more in terms of black men. For the last 500 years, black women have been on the forefront of our struggle.
Agreed.
So black men, we were strong in the 60s. We saw some resistance in the 60s. Then we saw some resistance in the 90s. But, for the most part, black people in America, scared. You can look at the fear that we live in 2018, and this Saturday, they're going to have a white supremacist march in D.C.
Mm-hmm.
That will be the anniversary of the Charlottesville incident.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes. So just the fact that you're going to have a march that's an anniversary of an incident where a person was killed, run over by a car, you were confronted black people, others, just to celebrate that. And then our response is like, we make excuses for white people and why they should do this and do that. It just shows who we are as a people.
I think a lot of us don't fully understand the nature of our enemy.
Absolutely.
I really don't. I think that we come from a place of, we compare our own selves to them. We heard all our lives, we're all the same except for the color of our skin, and this is, we're only one race, the human race, and we feed into all that. And so we actually believe it. So we actually believe that we could eventually convince them to think and feel like we do. Compassion and, mercy and, turn the other cheek and things of that nature. I think because we don't fully understand, a lot of us, the nature of our enemy.
I watched a movie on Netflix called The Forgiven. What's the guy with the lazy eye, black brother?
Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah. He is playing Desmond Tutu. In it. It's based on a true story. So it's a wrong apartheid, of course. And so now they're trying to reconcile, and it's years later. Mandela is president at this point, and they're, digging up bodies and bones. And even now, like looking at that movie, even now, to me, what I'm noticing is there's this like still this white supremacist attitude as far as black people, even when it comes to reconciliation and forgiveness. It's like it falls on us. Because watching that movie, I'm like, no, that doesn't fall on us. It is not up to us to fix the issue of racism. We didn't create it. But that's what it feels. I don't even say what it feels. That's what it is. It's almost like we're expected to, because you hear people say it all the time. I never worked at plantation. Slavery's in the past, right. You got to forgive. And people that look like us and non-black people say the same thing. But it's like it falls on us to fix the issue of racism in this society. I find that so insane, because it's still another form of oppression and white supremacy, pretty much. Because it's to say, something is wrong with you now because you refuse to forgive me, even after years and years of oppression.
That's
what
heavy.
is your problem?
That's heavy.
Yeah, I'm noticing that a lot in conversations and just even like.
And we'll
that's
chastise
history.
each other.
Yeah.
For not forgiving.
Yeah.
Well, shame on you for not forgiving these people for destroying our lives.
Yeah,
right.
That's
you
the
know?
church.
I'm called a racist
Yeah.
every day. Somebody
Yeah.
black called me a racist.
It's deep.
I have some white people. I don't know how they're not my friends on Facebook, but they inbox me, nigga, go back to Africa.
I get those every now and again.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I was talking to a brother recently, and he was making excuses for the system. And he was talking in a way that he was talking about voting is not going to work. Black people coming together, that's not going to work. Us confronting the police, that's not going to work. I said, if you listen to how you talk and the things that you list, you are hopeless.
Hopeless, yeah. Agreed.
It's a lot of that.
But if I would just say you're hopeless, you're going to rebut that.
Yeah.
But if I let you talk, you will illustrate it.
Mm-hmm.
The hopelessness of the black community.
I see a lot of that.
But even see the hopelessness too. What I'm realizing, Brother Edward, is that hopelessness has two faces here. There's a hopelessness that we know, we're familiar with it. It looks like someone who has given up. But there's a hopelessness of assimilation that we don't really talk about, where black people have just given up and say, if you can't beat them, you join them.
Acceptance.
Yeah, and you see them really trying to assimilate, and every now and then they're reminded that you're black. And really, regardless of respectability politics, the real issue is that you're black.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with how you dress, where you live, none of that. You're in a suit and I still hate you. So every night they live in the suburbs, your neighbors are white. And these are the people where you run into where it's like, my kids' best friends, they're white. These are some good people. We can have white allies. And, they advocate for that because they have now gotten to the point, and I say this because they feel like I've arrived, they've gotten to a point where it feels like they've finally been accepted. So there's a hope. That's hopelessness because you're saying, I can't fight this. So what I'm going to do is try to become this or assimilate into it. We've been assimilated for years,
right.
But then there are some of us that do it way better than others where we just go hard with the assimilation. We're going to get the PhDs. We're going to live, yes.
And I agree with you. And I find those who are in a more acceptance way of life in their own lifestyle are usually the ones that is closest in proximity
To whiteness.
And I heard Brother Booker T. Coleman over the weekend say something profound. He was in Baltimore lecturing, and I was there working, and he said black people have a challenge with understanding the difference between a friend and an ally. He said we actually try to make our enemies, our allies our friends. So he made the distinction between one time America was allies with Russia. And they went to war together to fight, I believe, Germany. It was. Right. So they were allies. Now look at them. And so we attempt to make our European allies our friends. Oh, he brings me lunch for, at work sometimes. So, he's good. That's my friend. That's my buddy. But if the Lord, when the lines are, if it's the difference between his people and you, who you think they're going to choose? The same one who bring you lunch every day and, is kind to you, hold the door open for you and things of that nature. When the lines are drawn in the sand and he has to choose between protecting and supporting his people
privilege and
versus you, who are you going to choose? Who do you think he's going to choose? So we mistaken.
We live in a society where the President of the United States referred to African nations and Caribbean nations as shithole countries. Now, I'm going to say what it is. Black countries.
Pretty much.
Black countries that were called shithole countries. And this is the President of the United States saying that. This is not David Duke. This is not the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. This is the President of the United States. And then he attacks black people who just want simple justice.
Right.
Colin Kaepernick took a knee to protest police brutality and police murders. And the NFL came up with a policy that if you take a knee, you're fired. Let's walk slow. They took a knee to protest the injustices that black people are confronted with. It had nothing to do with the
flag,
the anthem, none of that. It was about injustice.
Soldiers.
Right. So now it has been minimized to the anthem. And if you take a knee, you're automatically out of the NFL. They made a policy. And this is to say, here's what we think about you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you're suffering.
And you're suffering. And it's like every time somebody rises up that's black and talk about the injustices that black people are confronted with, they have to defend themselves against charges of them being racist.
Yeah.
Deep.
By their own
Or
people.
like you're looking too deep. You're trying to, you're a troublemaker.
Yeah.
When you just asking for justice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that again, it goes back to they are our enemies, and we really believe that we could turn, the tides. And after all this time, and after all we've been through, and after all we still suffer through, we think one day we will eventually be able to convince these people to love us like they love themselves.
So
it's insanity.
I have a question. So today we're talking about reaching the unreachable, and you work with, the quote unquote unreachable, or the population, that demographic that people don't really want to deal with. People write off. And so I want to make all of what we just talked about, because there's a connection.
Right.
So just bringing it full circle. Because now this right here, that we're reaching the unreachable, I feel like it's kind of like, it's not just an internal problem, even though we know what it's connected to. It's almost like our community can possibly begin to fix it. And so I kind of want to get into that today. So when we talk about the unreachable, who are we talking about, Edward?
I think we're talking about the young people in the streets. We're talking about the young people that's out there pants sagging, smoking weed, drinking, popping pills, doing all manner of the stuff that we see on the news and stuff we hear on the radio. Those people, those are actually to me, the warriors and the soldiers of God for our liberation. And they just don't have the right message. Once they get the right message, they're gonna be the soldiers that get us to liberation. And so I think that we should look at them as such, because in our community now we're becoming afraid of our children. We're afraid of our sons. We're afraid of our nephews. We're afraid of our cousins. Well, we could just pull them up. I'm talking about the men. The black men in our community, we're afraid. We cowards.
How did the youth get to this point? How do we get to a point where so many of our youth are wayward?
Okay. If you look at in Washington D.C., and I would imagine that represents the black community everywhere. In the late 80s and early 90s, a lot of black men were incarcerated.
Yes.
When D.C. was the murder capital, a lot of black men, we lost a lot of black men to gun violence. And the ones who were killed, there was men that were gone that could have been role models in our community because they were murdered. And then you had some that was on drugs and got wiped out, and who could have been role models. And then the people who did the murders, who went to prison. And so a lot of people are coming home from prison after 20, 25 years, and it was a void in our community. And those children grew up without a father. They grew up, either their father was murdered, their father was on drugs, their father was in prison, or he just wasn't in the picture at all. And so now that has become normalized with a generation, because Mook, Ray, and Lil, man, all of them grew up the same way.
Yes.
You ain't got no father either.
Yeah.
It's true.
So all of them grew up, and so it became normal. And I heard Dr. Umar Johnson say that black women in their household, they upgrade their little son. You the man of the house.
Yeah.
And he said they never downgrade him when a real man comes.
Wow.
When you get a man, bring a man in the house, you never tell Mook, you ain't not the man in the house no more.
Good
So
point.
Mook and him, they
Battling it out.
yeah, because both of them the man of the house.
Territorial.
Good point.
Excellent point. What comes to mind is the study they did on the elephants. You remember that study they did I don't know how long ago, but the elephants, they had a lot of these young male elephants tearing up villages.
Right.
They were just saying, people didn't understand why all of a sudden all these elephants are tearing everything up. And when they went to do more details about what was going on, they found that a lot of the male, the father elephants were killed from poachers. They were killing them for their tusks and all that stuff. So there was, because elephants roam in tribes,
Right.
family tribes.
Yeah.
And so they found same scenario you just described.
The depletion of role models.
These young male, in particular, elephants running wild because there was no male adult role models in the tribe to guide them. And so when they rounded them up and they put them in another tribe where there was other male elements, and the behavior subsided.
Yeah.
The behavior subsided.
You know, we suffer from white supremacy, and Dr. Neely Fuller said if you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it functions, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. And so we really have to understand white supremacy. That's so essential, our understanding of white supremacy. Let me point out something. If you look at young people in the hood and listen to the music that we sing and rap, we talk about killing each other. We talk about unloading clips on each other. We talk about I kill everybody in your family. This is the mentality of young people, right? But these same young people, if you tell them, you know, we want to be free, we want to be liberated, we want to kill a slave master, we want to kill the oppressor. I'm not racist.
Oh, that's heavy.
I'm not.
Wow,
Kill them for what?
that's heavy.
Kill them for, they ain't do nothing to me. But you got a Draco, you got a chopper, you got an AK,
Yeah.
you got a Glock 40
Yeah.
with extended clip
The extended clip.
for your
right?
own black brother.
And singing about it.
And you about that life, and you don't care. But when it comes to liberation, I ain't with that racist stuff.
Why is that?
Fear. Fear.
So this thing with fear now, it's passed on, huh?
Yes.
We're passing it on to our young people.
I'm going to give you an example of the fear that I've witnessed in my own personal life.
Okay.
A young person can be in the neighborhood with a gun in their waist, right? And 4 black people, this before I went to prison in 91, 4 black people, the old college call them a bucket. Remember that? 4 people in a bucket. And all 4 of them have guns. And they come in and shoot you. And you got your gun. And you shoot it out with them. And after you shoot it out with them, if you get hit or you hit them and you brag about the story and your stock go up and your image, man, this same person that will engage in that, it could be 4 of them and 1 police. He gonna throw the gun. He gonna throw the gun. The thought to raise the gun at the police or the white is not even gonna enter into his thoughts.
Yeah. Is that because we witnessed the repercussions and consequences of going against that one?
I can see that.
So hence the fear. So I mean, you know, yeah, you're gonna throw it because you're afraid of the consequences, but you're not afraid of the consequences of killing your own brother.
Right. So it's a sickness. It's a real sickness that must be addressed. And the sickness is white supremacy. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and I miss Dr. Frances Cress Welsing because she was one of my teachers, you know, and she said that white supremacy affects every sphere of people's endeavor: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And so because white supremacy covers all these levels, then we, in the name of liberation, have to cover all, and fight on all those levels.
Have we? Because when you just talked about consequences of hurting or killing someone, maybe non-black or police. You use the police, but you don't fear the consequences of killing someone that looks like you. Is that perhaps even the internalization of the dominant society's perception of black, like we've internalized that exactly how they've see us is how we see ourselves. So the value that they've placed on our bodies, we've also placed on our own bodies. So your brother, you know, I'm who no one really cares about this black body that I'm about to kill. You know what I'm saying? So because I'm listening to you guys go back and talk about it, and I'm just like, we're treating each other exactly how we're treated. You know what I mean?
Hurt people.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
The Willie Lynch syndrome.
Yeah.
We internalized all that hate. Now we internalize it.
So my question is, so when you're working with this population, is it as simple as, because the hustlers, for example, that are maybe in the community and they're hustling drugs, and this is how they make their their livelihood. Is it as simple as providing jobs
Good question.
to
Yes.
fix that?
Yes.
You
For-
really think
yes,
so?
yes.
Okay.
Well, some people people don't,
What type of jobs? Because you cannot, if I'm making a certain amount on the
I'm
block.
glad you said, I was about to
Okay,
address
go
that,
ahead.
Because
The jobs are
listen,
tough.
listen. You might not, now I can't speak for the entire United States.
Yeah, I got you.
But in DC, it ain't no money like it was in '88. It ain't no money like it was in '90. It ain't no money like it was in '90. So the young people are not getting money.
Okay.
So it's not no hard, like you just ball so hard that it's crazy.
Right.
No,
Okay.
it's not that. They make just enough money to get high, buy a white T-shirt and some Jordans
And
and
go.
re-up. They ain't getting no money like that. So
No.
it's not that hard. We need some resources in our community that can teach them some job skills and some entrepreneurship skills so that we can transition. That's all and some love. A lot of our young people have never been told in their life, I love you.
Really?
Right. You know, what comes to mind is you did a video recently that I watched. It was a very good one too, by the way. It was a little small
Oh,
documentary about your day, and you were out there. You guys were the mosque #4, and you were part of the brothers that went out into the community just to show the brothers some love, show the family members some love that you all are there. But what I recognized is there was this young boy. He was probably no more than about 7 or 8 years old. He followed you everywhere. You know, because you kept logging off, you log back on. So during different parts of the day, and this little young boy was right there at your hip. And I asked you later. I said, "Did you know him before that today?" You was like, "No." So I found that interesting that he clung to you so passionately when he didn't even know you. You were a stranger, but all you did was show him some attention.
I went to prison at 17 years old. I was charged as an adult for a crime that was committed when I was 16. And I was sentenced to 15 to 80 years in prison. And I came home when I was 35 years old. So mentally, I'm still 17 in terms of social skills.
Yeah.
So even though I'm older, my frame of reference, 17. So I can identify with young people. I know how they talk, I know how they dress, I know what they're listening to, and I know how to get up on them because I know what it would have taken to get me. So that's what I use to judge. I know if you came at me anything short of making some money or changing my life or giving me an opportunity, I'm not trying to hear. And so I don't come to young people with trying to religion. I don't come to people with stuff like that because I know it wouldn't have got me.
Yeah.
But I come with the information. I come with the information to try to, because once we change the way we think and change our perspective, you won't have to give me any instructions. We'll do it naturally.
But that's the. I actually think people like you, others like yourself, are best fit to approach and to deal with that population of kids, because those of us who grew up in a bubble, we don't get it. We
Right.
can't understand it. We can't begin to understand it. We think it's as simple as strapping up your bootstraps, and working hard, And then there are some people who are the exception to the rule, who come out of the hood, like they say, make it out alive in one piece. They were able to do whatever, get educated, whatever they did, and they are living a certain way. They don't even look back, because for them it's, I did it, why can't you?
Right. Right.
What I've learned is sometimes it is really people that are put in your path along
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
Everyone do not get that. Everyone does not, and especially working with the DC population, specifically foster care, when they come in, that's usually my first question, where's the family? But then when you start to go and you do what they call a diligent search, and you realize the breakdown in the families, it makes sense. Where a kid can come into care at 16 or 15 and no one wants to take this kid because this kid has been parenting themselves, and so no one can tell them anything. You can, how will you, like you just explained with with the father, where the mother never downgrade them. A lot of kids, and I don't think people put this into perspective. And again, you cannot understand if you have no experience or exposure to that type of life. But a lot of kids, DC, other places, have become what we call parentified. And that just simply means they've been parenting themselves from a very, very young age. It could just be that the parents are on drugs, they checked out, mental health, depression, whatever it may be.
Say that word again.
Parentified?
Parentified.
Yeah, a lot of kids are parentified. And so if you have a kid that's 8 years old and they've been cooking lunch and dinner for their siblings, and now they're 12, and you're coming as an adult, and what's happening is you're seeing them as a 12-year-old, but they are not seeing themselves as a 12-year-old. So there goes the clash. Because now you're coming in and you're trying to parent them the way that you would parent a normal 12-year-old. But this isn't a normal 12-year-old you're dealing with. This is a 12-year-old who has been expected to do adults things since they're 8 years old.
Yeah.
You now say you come in, bedtime is 9 o'clock. They're looking at you like, I've been coming in at 2 a.m.
Right.
What do you mean 9 o'clock?
Right.
So we don't.
we label them rebellious.
Yes, and instead of trying to understand, you got to meet people where they're at. Like Edward was just explaining, where his point of reference is 17. That's the other thing we don't put into perspective when you're talking about trauma. A lot of these kids have seen a lot since they're very young, and now you're meeting them at 18. They're still stuck when they were 10, and they watched their brother killed, or their mother pimped out, or whatever it is, and I think a lot of people just come in and we think we know that the answer is very simple and it's so layered.
Yeah.
Right.
The issues of black people is always layered.
You know what? I'm gonna share something with you. When I was 6, my father went to prison for murder. He'd been in prison since 1980. He's still in prison. And when I was 14, my mother was murdered. My mother was murdered in Washington, D.C. by a serial killer for nothing. And at 14, I wasn't all the way corrupt, but I was on my way there, because before my mother was murdered, she used to tell my own, you need to get him. He's starting to, get rebellious and talk back. And so I knew that I was going down the wrong path, right? And then when my mother was murdered, I think it was inevitable that I'm going to get killed or locked up. Because when my mother was murdered, I felt that ain't no such thing as no God. How is it a God and my father been? I used to be embarrassed when I'm little. Hey, where your father at? In the military. So, but now it's so common, it's cool to say my father locked up. Yours too. But back then, that wasn't common. And then when my mother was murdered at 14, I didn't know how to interpret that.
Right.
I didn't know what to do. And so the streets became my family. My homies became my family. Some people that, we were ignorant, but I know if you touch me, they're going to kill you. And if you touch them, I'm going to kill you. So we had that family, that bond. That, it wasn't right, but it was real.
Yeah.
And so when I went to prison at 17, everyone that's why I love the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan so much, and that's why I'm so hard when somebody come against the minister. I'm not no religious zealot. I just know what he done for me, and where I would be had I not heard that message. In terms of changing the way you think and changing the way you live.
Yeah.
Right.
So my life experience prepared me to be, I guess, a spokesperson for young people. There's nothing that they can build up their guard against. I had family members that was on drugs. My mother wasn't there. My father was in prison, so I grew up by myself. I don't think nobody bought me a pair of shoes since I was 14 years old. So
you can relate.
Right. So, but it also gives me leverage to tell them, we got to work through that. You can't. Don't nobody owe you anything.
Yeah.
You can't use woe is me.
Yes.
Why my life is like this. No. I looked at all of that as a blessing.
Yeah.
Everything that I've been confronted with in life, all of the hardships, I thank Allah for it.
Right.
Really, because it really prepared me to understand our community and to be an instrument for change in our community.
Yeah, because the woe is me doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not. It doesn't benefit you. It's not. You can wallow in that, but you're gonna get nowhere. It's not gonna propel you forward. So why do it? You know. What is your strongest tool in your toolbox as it relates to reaching the youth?
My experience, me being from the streets, like even though I'm a member of the Nation of Islam and I'm a Muslim and I'm an activist, I am from the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Most activists are.
Well, I kind of hardcore street. Like, I don't want to say, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
it's kind of leverage in the hood when you been to prison for 18 years and you didn't tell on nobody and you thorough and you a stand-up man. In the hood, that's leverage.
Yeah.
Some youngest call me OG. What's up, OG? So that's leverage.
Right.
So I could use that OG
your
leverage, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that I've been going on, because I study people.
Right.
So I try to study, like, what can we do to forward the people's movement?
Right.
What can we do for liberation? And one of the things that I'm beginning to realize is that our community organizers and our activists and our pastors and our imams and our ministers, they don't have no connection with the hood.
Yeah.
So yeah, your intentions are good and you love our people, but you're not connected. You know, you got a nervous system in our body. You know, and that jolt, you feel it all throughout your body. You're not connected to our community. You love our community. You're for our community, but you're not connected in terms of.
But you're smack dead in the middle of it.
What I mean by that,
Benefiting from being smacked down in the middle.
What I mean by that is, if you connected with the community, the hood, you can go to the OGs.
No, I know.
And tell the OGs, get them youngins together. And the pastor might don't have the power, the minister, the imam, they don't have, but the OG got the power.
Yeah.
Them youngins gonna listen to the OG. Whatever he say do, they're gonna do. So why not connect with him? It would be smart to connect with him, not in the trying to teach on him type of way, because you'll turn the community against yourself like that. But connecting with him and try to get him to understand. Because one of the things that I learned from prison, if you get cool with the shot caller of any group, you locked in with everybody. When I was in Florence, Colorado, it was a brother named K-Head. He was the shot caller for the Crips. And that was my Scrabble partner. Every day he would come looking for me so I could beat him in Scrabble. Every day I talked so greasy to him. I told him I'm not playing unless I give him 200 points. And he'd come looking for me, and every day I beat him and all the Crips would be looking. And he used to call me Little Farrakhan. Farrakhan, you ain't gonna get me today. Oh, yes, I am. I'm gonna get you today. But after all of the Crips, like, what's up, Farrakhan? They love me because of him.
Yeah.
And so that reality is real in the community.
Yeah.
I always think of when they had the whole crackdown with the Jamaican drug lord is what they call them, Dudas or whatever, and this reggae artist did an interview, and they used to bring these big containers, trailers, like into the hood in Tivoli and stuff in Jamaica, and they would open it up, and they had books in there of all sorts, different books, because conscious books, and because they were encouraging the youth to read. And he said one of his biggest supporters was that man, was Dudas. And then you have to wonder, he was in the community, and when they came to get him, that community barricaded the community and went to war with the police, protecting this man. Who they say is a drug lord. He was paying a lot of their kids' school fees.
Right.
And stuff like that. So for them, it's like, he's our government.
Right.
Like, that's how they saw it. Like, we don't have no beef with him. That's how they felt. Even though he was bringing, what I like to say, poison, to them, it was almost like, but I feel like that's the lesser of, you know?
Right.
So, but he was an avid reader of those books. You'd be surprised. Yeah, he had the knowledge.
Speaking of that, reminds me of the conversation on the way here.
Bumpy Johnson.
Yeah.
Bumpy Johnson, they made a movie about Bumpy Johnson called Hoodlum. But people don't know that Bumpy Johnson, and he ran Harlem and he went against the mafia, but he paid for Malcolm X's funeral. Malcolm X died broke.
I didn't know that.
And Bumpy Johnson paid for Malcolm X's funeral.
Going right into
Yeah.
what you just described.
But that's the connecting he's talking about too.
Right.
With, like, when I say like they're smack dead in the middle of the hood, is that you're passing these people every day. But what I found happens is that, and even in the conscious community, this isn't just the religious
That's
community where we're so busy trying to bring people out. And instead of looking and saying this isn't working because there's a small number of us still here and a huge number here, and we're trying to, so like you said, they're not hearing it. Instead of us being creative and finding a way in how to get in, right, and spread that knowledge, we are separating ourselves and expecting them to come over to us. The religious community does it, but the conscious community does it too.
Yes, they
And
do.
it's not working. And let me tell you something that I've noticed, and I keep saying this. One thing that I struggle with the conscious community is like I feel like there's a population of black young men that they're just missing. And that's who matters. I'm talking about those teenagers. They're not getting to them. They're just not. And I'm not sure. I kind of have my own opinion as to why. Because you got to come correct and you got to come real. You cannot come to these
Teach on it.
you cannot come to this play stuff and you're dashiki.
Teach
And
on
you
it.
feel, because they will test you.
Teach on it.
And a lot of our leaders, if you want to say that, are not equipped.
I try to tell brothers that all the time.
Yeah.
Good
Like,
teaching.
I listen to trap music. Why you listen to trap music?
Right.
To start a conversation with Mook Mook.
Thank you.
That's Hanifa goes there too. Yeah.
So I listen to
You
trap.
gotta-
I
you
like
gotta
trap music though. I ain't
know.
gonna say I'm just listening to
No,
it
no,
to
you-
reach Mook Mook because I definitely like trap music.
Yeah.
I do.
You have to know. I did a training with some foster parents once, and what I did it so they can understand, because what will happen is they will have the kids and they will complain about the kids having the headphones in all the time. But the reality was that they didn't know what the kids were listening to. And so one of the trainings that I did was I would pick out some songs, popular songs, and I would print the lyrics out. And I would put it on each desk, and the parents would be and I'm like, do y'all know this song? And then once they're like, no, this is a song. And then when you play it or you sing it, they're like, yeah, that's that song. He's always there. I'm saying, well, here's the lyrics to the song. See, and most foster parents are Christian. A lot of them are. And so what they do is, I don't want to hear that junk. That's why they rather them have it in the headphone than playing it in the room. And I'm like, don't you want to know? I have a son. If he's listening to, I want to know the lyrics. I want to know what he's saying. Have a conversation, because most of the time, the kids don't even know. Some of the younger ones don't even know what the song is really saying, and it's really seeping into their subconscious, which then affects their behavior. And then you're wondering why they're wilding. They don't even know. They can't explain. You as an adult, we're the gatekeepers. You have to be able to say, okay, it's almost like we feel like these things are going to defile us. And I'm like, where is your God in you? Like, where is it?
Yeah, I feel you, and because I'm one of those. I'm one of those parents that I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Turn it off. Turn it down. Get it out of my.
Really?
Yeah, I am because I'm afraid that too much of that, like anything else, the energy behind it.
I got you.
Like a negative person.
I got
too
you.
long. You spend too much time around a negative person. Them
Sucks.
behaviors will rub off.
That's true.
Yeah.
So that's why I take the position I take. But I feel where you're coming from too, the conversation, because then it becomes a separation. Because my daughter still listening to the trap music. I still hate it. We still not talking about it. So the divide is still there.
And then you become the enemy, and your
Yeah.
own, like Edward is saying, our youth become our enemy. So my whole thing is we have to figure out a way, it's not enough to just be conscious and throw up a black face and, talk. We have a demographic that we're not reaching. We're not reaching them. Look at these meetings when we have them.
Same
where
people.
The
Same
same
faces.
people, and they're never young people.
That's
You're
right.
talking 35 and up most of the time.
That's
And
true.
we're missing those in their 20s. Where they at?
That's true.
On the college campuses? Well, then we need to go up in there too.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like, I don't know. So my question is, what is it that, I know you talk about resources in the community as far as to help with the whole hustling, the drugs and so forth. But what else do you think we need to see coming
We need more people from the hood. More people that's like the OGs, the people that's in from the community that is strong in the community. We need more of them to become active. And a lot of people coming home from prison are active because that you learn through struggle. Like you've actually killed somebody, you took somebody's life, and that's on your brain. When you lay there at night,
that's like a debt,
right? So you got to pay that back. And you got to work. I was taught when I was in prison, when you kill somebody black, you got to work the rest of your life for black people. I believe that. I agree with that. So.
Interesting stuff. What about the children who just tune out in school? Why do you think that is the whole academic part of it? We see so much of the dropout rates in our youth.
Our struggle is a divine struggle. At the end of the day, our struggle is a spiritual struggle. Our struggle is divine. So it is our Creator, our God, removing all of the things from our children's path that made our parents Uncle Toms. Everything that would make Mook Ray Ray and Lil Man Uncle Tom, the Creator is putting in them resistance to that. They don't go to church. They don't listen to the politicians. They don't listen to the school teachers.
Don't care about voting.
They don't listen to their parents. Why? Not that they bad people, but what are you teaching them? What are you teaching?
I tell people this, and most people don't understand it, but I say, and I mean it, I think removing myself. I don't even use the word dropout anymore.
You dropped out, you got kicked out. You got kicked out. Stop.
Removing myself from the public school system in the 9th grade literally saved my life. I believe that.
You didn't go past the 9th grade.
Oh, you knew that. You knew that. And most people can't understand that because of, what you just described. It's like, what are you talking about? You supposed to finish school. You supposed to go to college. You supposed to get a good job. You supposed to get the white picket fence and buy the house and the car. And so when you go off that trail, something's wrong. Something's wrong with me for that. But
You know what? When I was I got my GED in prison. And I have an associate's degree in business administration. I got in prison, and but I only have a 7th grade education. They pushed me to the 8th because of my age, not because this is you too old. Go ahead.
So you're keeping it real, like, no, what's 7?
Yeah. So and when I got knowledge of self, it's like.
That's the key.
Man, knowledge of self is invaluable. When I started going to the Nation of Islam meetings, I was in prison. And they was talking about the black man and we the first people, we the original people, we this and we that. The first meeting I went to, I said, them niggas going to hell. I ain't lying to you. But I kept on going. I said, man, this is what I've been looking for all my life. Because I heard a brother gave me a tape, a Minister Farrakhan down in Lorton. And he said, all you doing is killing your own people. I said, what are you in my cell? He talking to me. And that tape was so personal. It was like the minister was in my cell talking to me. And I was so hurt. And I began to think back on my life. I only lived 17 years in society, but I had never done anything positive for black people. I started thinking about all of the black women I disrespected. I started thinking about all of the black people that I hurt, all of the things in my life, all of the pain that I caused. And I was like, man, I felt like I worked for the Ku Klux Klan.
You're so silly. Well, we want to share with you guys a little bit about where we are, which is Everlasting Life Vegan Restaurant and Lounge. We're located at 9185 Central Avenue. That's in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Everlasting Life is so much more than just a restaurant. I call it a culture hub. Here, there's a lot more to it through these doors. So come and join us. For instance, each and every Thursday is Children's Night, where children eat free, 12 and under, as long as they're here with a paying accompanied adult. They eat a good, wholesome, healthy meal for free, and then they join in the lounge. They're joined in the lounge with other children, their age group, and they have a blast. They have a really good time. It becomes a big game room for them. And so they do different activities. Our very own Chris Mary hosts that event up, and every week she has something different and exciting and fun for them to get into. So bring the children to a good, safe place for them to play each and every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Following that up is our Dinner and a Movie. I host that event every Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. We air a different documentary, something that is centered around us as a people, and we talk about what we've watched. So we go right into a discussion part, which is always some great information. So you never know who's in the room and who's sharing some information. I get a lot from those discussions. So that's every Friday from 7 to 9 p.m., always free. Black Wall Street Renaissance. Every first Saturday of the month, we take the lounge area. We bring in small business owners and other business people from the community, and you will have the opportunity to shop with different vendors. So we ask that you save a few bucks and come sow seeds into your own community here at the Black Wall Street Renaissance, and that's all day from 12 to 6 p.m. Marketplace, Chris Murray again. She stays so busy. Each and every third Saturday of the month from 11 to 4 p.m., she hosts a marketplace, fresh produce, natural supplements, herbs and spices, vegan groceries. You can get all that right here. You can shop with vendors as well at this event. That's every third Saturday from 11 to 4 p.m. Every one of these events that I mentioned are always free. ELife Studios right here. So if you're interested in broadcasting your own show right here from the studio, give us a shout out on elifestudios.com and we'll get you all the information on that. Professor James Smalls is coming this Saturday. He'll be here lecturing, as well as the Irritated Genie. They both will be taking the stage. Come on into the restaurant or call us to get more information on that. All right. Back into our discussion.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Next month, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be at Union Temple Baptist Church.
Yeah.
September the 12th.
Yeah.
For Men's Day.
What time?
You gonna do me like that?
I think it's like 11. I would just recommend they get there early.
Stay on my Facebook.
Yeah,
Get
they
there
did.
early
We're
for
gonna
a
promote
seat.
that. Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah.
get there early.
Please get there early, because there is a line to be a line wrapped around the street corner.
Yeah.
Whenever he comes for Men's Day. Yeah. That's his buddy. What's the
Reverend Willie Wilson.
Reverend Willie Wilson. That's the activist.
Yes.
I tell you that brother,
Reverend Willie
he's a
Wilson
Christian church, but
He is one of the few
an activist.
pastors that I wouldn't put that Uncle Tom tag on his back.
no doubt. No
Because
doubt.
I'm a tag. I put that tag on a Christian pastor back quick if he ain't got no community program.
Reverend Willie Wilson do it all.
Right.
Yeah, he opened his doors for all kind of things, community oriented. Why do you think more men aren't involved in these young boys' lives?
Fear.
Do they fear them? Do they fear the youth as
Yeah.
well?
Yes.
Wow.
They feel the
This is about that.
responsibility and they feel the person.
Wow.
So you talked about you were saying you feel like black women are a little bit more conscious than black men. So you were saying I'm specifically talking to black men. Why is that? Are we given more leeway to do things as black women, or what? Are we less of a threat? What is it?
Dr. Frances Cress Welsing talked about in the ISIS papers. She said that when black boys see black men that stand up and white people kill them, that's why we have the subconscious thing in our mind that when you stand up for your race and you promote consciousness among your people, the first thing the young people say, they're going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. Older people say that too.
They're going to kill you. So we got that in our mind. So we equate standing up for black people with being killed. So we kind of shy from that. I'm not going to do that. I ain't letting y'all trick me and get me killed like y'all did so and so. They'll throw Dr. King out there, they'll throw Malcolm out there, they'll throw anybody. Look what they did to him. I'm not standing up for that. You got me messed up. But you're standing up for yourself.
Yeah, but how much? Give me a percentage here. we have a lot of issues in the black communities, period. How much of the responsibility to fix some of these problems fall on us?
All of it.
100%.
100%.
Even in this society,
Yes.
that'll
The white man put us in a situation. He stripped us of our name, our language, our culture, our religion, our history, our folkways, our mores, our norm. He colonized Asia, Africa, and Latin America. He put us in a situation for the last 500 years where he's in front and we're playing catch up. But the reality is, the only way our condition will be improved if we improve it. He's not going to do anything for us. Like the things that we talk about that will help improve our condition offends him. If we talk about reparations, that's offensive to him. If we talk about justice, that's offensive to him. We can get killed on camera where the world can see it. You know what white people say? You got to get all the facts. So at some point we got to come to the conclusion the way we think and the way they think is two different thought processes.
That's right. What stops us from understanding it on that level? The breakdown that seems so simplistic to me, the way you just broke it down. What stops the mass majority of us from understanding our enemy on that level?
I'm gonna stick with that fear. I got to stick with fear. You know, one of the things, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization, and as a member of an organization, I'm a part of two organizations, the Nation of Islam and the National Black United Front, and I deal with black people every day, and so being able to see us in our condition and where we at mentally, we afraid. And I'm talking about even in organizations, we want our little piece of the pie, and we try to develop a system of comfortability in white supremacy.
Yeah.
We're not trying to rock the boat.
So what? Okay, so I hear you, because throughout the program, at the end of the day, you're saying all of this is rooted in fear, right? The apathy, all of that is rooted in fear. It's not, we don't want to act because we're afraid. So then my last question would be, like, what do we do to address this fear? Where do we begin?
They got Kwame Ture talk about the 3-point revolutionary platform: agitate, educate, and organize. So the 3-point revolutionary, you got to agitate the people. You got to constantly agitate the people, show them the contradictions of white supremacy, the contradictions of society.
Frederick Douglass said that too.
So once you get the people agitated, right, they're mad, they're in their feelings, they're in their emotions. They at this state, they not revolutionaries though. They in their emotions.
Right.
You keep them agitated. So you agitate, educate, then organize. Once you got the people agitated, then you be mad. You're supposed to be mad. Yeah, and they against us, and they are our enemies. So now you got to educate them. But we're not going to go do nothing to these people. Stupid.
Absolutely.
We're going to organize, and we're going to address the social, political, economic issues that confront us as a people. So you educate them. And once you agitate and educate, they're going to organize on their own. They're going to organize on it. Find an organization that fit with how you feel. And join.
Describe agitate. Give me an example of agitate. When you say you got to agitate the people.
Look how the police come and make your black ass move and you don't even stand up and say nothing. But you'll kill me. But the police walk and you walk across the other side of the street. You scared of the white man. I ain't scared. But when you come back over, I bet you move. You agitate him.
Okay.
He gonna begin to think, damn, I move every day.
So you bring awareness to the situation.
It's a bit provocative. Yeah,
Right.
You gotta be a little yeah, I get that.
Okay, is that part of what we see a lot of today when we watch on like social media?
That's what came to my mind.
Yeah,
Is that
me
a part
too.
of agitation?
Where we showing, look at now, look at this, look at what's going on now.
Malcolm X, I know y'all saw the movie Malcolm X. He would go outside the church, after church was over, on Sundays.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so surprised. Look at you, been there all day praying. Look at your condition ain't changed.
Right. Right.
And he would agitate the people. And they like, wow, that is true. Where y'all meet at?
Right. Got it.
Okay.
So agitate, educate, organize.
Okay.
So
can
that's
get with
that's
that.
that's one of the ways we can address the fear. Okay.
I like that. What are parents doing, you think, these days that they may not be aware of that are detrimental to the upbringing of their children?
We're so pressed to give our children what we didn't have that we're forgetting to give them what we did have.
Which is?
Well, we give them like the comforts of, we ain't have our own room coming up. They got their
Right,
own room, their own
right.
flat screen, their own
Yeah.
phone, their own this, their own that.
Uh-huh.
And they'll tell you, get out of my room.
Yep.
And you don't give them no discipline, you don't give them no ethics, and they grow up not respecting you.
They don't know the struggle.
Right.
I heard Brother Imhotep up in Baltimore, PLM, say once, he said, don't shield the children from what's going on in
From
this
the struggle.
society,
Yep.
from the racism and the hate. You be straight up with these children. You let them know what's going on, and you let them decide with their own emotions how they're going to respond emotionally. I think we try to cuddle the children and shield them from all of what's going on. And so then when they get in front of the police and the police treat them like dirt, they shocked.
Right.
Oh my God, why are you doing this to me? Well, nobody sat you down and explained to you as a little boy or a little girl, this is what we're up against.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, again, our struggle is divine, and young people know they're against the police. Like, they don't have to read a book, they don't need no manual. That's not even a hard sell. Sometimes it's a scripture in the Bible that talks about how, like, everything works for the glory of God.
Yeah.
All things work together for good.
I knew you would remember that. I knew you would remember it. I knew you knew that quote.
Whatever, go ahead.
But the police work for God. In a divine sense, they our enemy. They're against us. They want us dead.
Yeah.
But their person is used to heighten our
To
consciousness.
teach it. I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Parting words. We're at the last minute. And what do you want to get out there? Oh, I want to real quick before you do that. Share real quick, because I think this is important for me. The difference between calling your children a kid versus a child or children.
Okay, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
bad.
taught us that a kid is a baby, is a goat, a baby goat. So we don't have kids, we have children. The white man got kids. You look at a kid in a mountain range, they was in the Caucasus Mountains. I mean, it fit them more than it us. We shouldn't call our children kids, we should call them children.
Words carry energy.
Right.
Okay. Parting words. Thank you for that.
We have to organize, wherever you are, you have to organize in your community. And in organizing in your community, you have to, when you organize in your community, the people that live right there, you make them in charge. You put them in charge. Don't try to impose on the people your ideas, and you're not even from
I'm
that
glad
place.
you said that.
You're not even from right here. You don't live there, but you're trying to establish a system to govern them. They know best how to govern themselves, so make them in charge.
Glad you said that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
sharing
Appreciate
with
you all.
us. All right, that's it, family. Until next time, we do this each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. This is the Empower Hour. You can catch Hanifah and I on live on Facebook under our Empower Hour Talk Show page. We also have a YouTube channel. If you can't catch us live, no problem. You can always catch us in the comfort of your own home whenever you deem fit. Just check us out on YouTube under Miss Free the People. That's MS Free the People. And until next week, we'll take care of each other, please. Peace.